Okay, okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So if the time is up, you let me know, please. Then others can introduce themselves too. We have Udon Blessing in. We have Nemeka Igoze in also.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
My name is Moshido Yebode. I'm a facility manager. We land at Fitch, the owner of Agbara Estate.
Okay, okay, okay. That is very nice. Then Oluwafemi Samuel, I can see you are resting well on your chair.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Oga.
I'm Adedokun Samuel Olufemi.
Okay.
I work with as the facility manager for a facility management company in Lekki Phase 1.
Okay. So it's a pleasure to have you. Please.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Atilade Aremu Ajayi.
Okay.
I'm the facility manager for a real estate development company in Lagos State here. The company is First World Communities Limited. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Let me just pause a little. I have a reason why I'm asking everybody to state what they are doing and which sector they are. First of all, before you pick up interest in facility management, you need to know your area of focus in facility management. You don't just jump into facility because others are doing facility. For you to succeed, you must know what you are doing. You must know how to take care of a building, take care of an environment, and ensure the expectation of your client are met. So at the end of your training, there should be a positive upliftment in your knowledge in management of facility. Having a first-hand response to your client, then having solution to problems that could arise in the future, then having a preventive maintenance plan strategy on how to handle facilities. That is why most of this course, I'm just one aspect of facility management. There are other facilitators I believe would have come in and would come in to ensure that your knowledge in facility is well broadened and you can stand, you can speak, you can save money for your facility. That is the essence of this training. And in facility, you must learn to be humble. It's one of those things. So can we go ahead then? Jude Okozi. Jude Okozi, please.
Good evening.
Jude. Is that Jude? Please, can you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, 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 I can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Jude Okozi. I'm a project manager with IHS, the telecom infrastructure. That's in the real estate arm of the company.
Okay. Good to have you online.
Thank you.
Then Atilade.
Hello, yes, please. I think I've introduced myself earlier.
Okay, Atilade Aremu. Okay.
Yeah.
Then who again do we have? I believe I've covered everybody. So Esther, is it Ita Esther?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Kolaole Ahmed Abayomi.
Okay.
I work with Unit Property as Facility Maintenance Officer in Abidjan GRA, Shoys Oasis Estate and Shoys Garden.
Okay. Then Esther don't want to speak. Moses Temitokbe. So please, if the house want me to start, let me start. Or if there are no other introduction or something, I have Matthew Apomi Danye.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Architect Mugo. I said my name is Architect Mubo Oludiro.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a facility manager at Ackland Properties.
Okay. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Then
Thank you, sir.
Mosho Oye Bode. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Mosho Oye Bode. Can I go ahead?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Who is speaking?
Yes. Mashudo Oyebode, I've answered you that I work with Land Afrique, the owner of
Okay,
Agbara
okay.
Estates.
I'm
Okay.
seeing different names. Sorry for that.
Okay.
So every other protocol observed, every other person observed too in the house. So I will take the privilege of starting now because we have a lot to cover. And I believe you have your pen and jotter to write down. Not everything you see here that will be said. There are things I will say that is beyond the class, actually. So you have to be passionate about what you are learning for you to get an understanding. Then you must have a knowledge-based solving problem for you to understand what we're about going in. So I start. So good evening once again. We are into HVAC maintenance training. What I always do where I go on this, I try to explain to the student the basic knowledge of air conditioning system before we progress it to the next stage. Then, first of all, what is air conditioning system? Air conditioning system is a component, a electromechanical component that have the capacity to cool, control, and enclose environment. All the things I've mentioned are very, very important. When I say electromechanical equipment, when you say electro, it has to do with electronics, electricity, then the mechanical part, it has to do with the compressors, all the ions you see around the body, components that they put together to ensure that the AC meets the design requirements. So that is air conditioning system. Then don't forget, I said in an enclosed place. If you installed an AC in an outdoor environment, in your balcony, the outdoor is in your balcony, the indoor is in your balcony, and you say they should put on the AC, you will not feel anything. Why? Because the air conditioning system cannot cool the entire earth. It has to be in an enclosed space. That's why your office has the walls, the roof, the ceiling, the windows are shut for you to get the feeling of air conditioning system. Then for your vehicle, it has to be shut. You can't drive your vehicle, your ACs are working and your windows are low. You will not feel the cooling. That's why the enclosed place must be stated in your definition. In an office, we had some problems where people say the ACs are not cooling, only for you to go to the building and you see that all the windows on that floor are open. You can't get the maximum feeling of cooling when the windows are open. So don't forget, there must be an enclosure in your definition. So I will want to draw some things, if that will be allowed here. Which one will I select to draw a pen? Okay, let me use this white area. I hope you can see what I'm drawing here. Please just indicate if you can see what I'm drawing.
Yes, I can see.
Yes, I just want to explain the basic components of air conditioning system, how it works before we go to the maintenance. You can't have a knowledge of maintenance of AC without knowing the basic knowledge of how it works. Please, somebody should take the privilege of allowing people in, please. Do you have a class captain in class? Do you have a class rep in the class? Hello?
Sir, yes, you're doing that.
Okay, please, somebody should, so that there won't be too much distraction. So what I'm drawing here are the basic components of air conditioning system. The first you can list here is a compressor. Sorry, it will take me time to start writing. Or compressor. They don't have provision to type. The compressor, so let me leave it at this. The compressor, that is the heart of air conditioning system. When I talk about the heart, just like the human existence, you have your heart that pumps in blood through the arteries, through the vein. So the AC itself also have all these major components. Without this single component, the AC cannot function efficiently. So the compressor is the soul of air conditioning system. They're always painted black. You'll see it along the way as we progresses in front. So they're always black. So when you put on the power, the work of the compressor is that it compresses the refrigerant. The refrigerant could be a fluid that have the capacity to create cooling or have the capacity to give a refrigerating effect. When I say refrigerating effect, it means the same thing as cooling. Water can also refrigerate, but it has a limitation. It cannot be compressed. There are a lot of properties the water cannot be used on a micro scale, as in human form. You can use water to cool. When you want to bath, your body is hot, you can use water to cool. But there are refrigerants, mainly gases, that has a cooling effect after they are compressed. So when you put on your light, the essence of the compressor is to compress two things. So the gas law will place two components. I believe majority of the class are science students. So I'm going to be using some time like pressure, temperature, then volume will be left out for now. So here, let us assume we have a pressure, then we have a temperature. So once you compress, what happened to the gas within the system? The gas are what? Energized. And as they energize, what happened to it? There's higher pressure in your AC, and the temperature is always higher. It is this compression that we use to design what we call the pressure cooker, the engineers among us. The pressure cooker is that when you boil water, the water boils, it increases the pressure of the steam. And the steam, the mouth of the kettle is designed in a way that it whistles. So once it's whistle, it calls your attention that the water is boiling. That same principle is being applied in your compressor. So when the pressures are compressed and the temperatures are high, the next stage is that it goes to an outdoor unit. The outdoor units are condenser units. The condenser unit is made up of copper, aluminum fin, then with other components. The essence is that the heat that is generated here comes directly to the outdoor unit. The outdoor unit's duty is to discharge the heat that have been picked up from in the space and send it to the condenser, and this discharge out. If you notice on site, sometimes when we have rains everywhere, or there's one of your technician has his clothes wet, his shoe is wet. What they do is to dry the shoes or their clothes in front of the outdoor unit. It's not supposed to be permitted because that causes an obstruction in discharge of heat going out of that. So at this particular point, because you have the compressor there, the heat has been discharged outdoor. The heat has been lost through the compressor. The pressure remain higher and the temperature is lower. For you to get a refrigerating effect, the pressure and the temperature must be at the lowest point. The temperature they must give will be within 7 degrees or far lower than that value. So you see that the pressure is still increased and the temperature has dropped by virtue of the outdoor unit discharging heat. So the next stage after this is what they call the thermostatic expansion valve. Thermostatic expansion valve. When you see the T, it stands for the thermostatic expansion valve. The duty of the expansion valve is to create a floodgate to reduce the pressure coming into this. Then for most of us that are very conversant with their old refrigeration, or some may have it at home, when you go to the back of your refrigerator, you'll see something that looks like this at the back of your refrigerator at home. So what happened? You have a very thin copper pipe, connected to a bulb-like structure. Then it has a copper pipe at the other end. So the essence is this: the pressure is higher at this point because it is narrower. So immediately it gets to this open space, what happens? The pressure of the refrigerant is forced to be reduced. So that pressure now goes slowly into the evaporator coil. The evaporator coil is part of those components you have indoors. This evaporator coil is the one that does the miracle of cooling within your space. So you see, the refrigerating effect has been gained by this simple component. It looks complex, but that is the basic knowledge of how air conditioning works and how it cools your space. So that refrigerating effect now gives us a temperature of 7 degrees here, or it could be 0 degree, it could be any degree at this point, depending on the refrigerating effect of the refrigerant. So this gives us cooling. Then what happened here? You are within your space. The temperature of an enclosed space is within 30 to 25 degrees centigrade. So when you have a temperature of 30 or 25 degrees centigrade, the temperature within that place is not sufficient to cool human being. So that is the body now reacts to that, bringing in sweat. And what happens? Sweat makes your clothes smells, makes your armpit smells, make a lot of things about your body to go wrong. So what happened to this? Since the indoor unit is installed indoors, this temperature is sucked through a fan installed in the indoor units. And don't forget, like I said, the temperature in the indoor unit is around 7 degrees. So there is a relationship between the indoor unit's temperature and the space you're about to cool. So when this 30 or 25 is drawn into this indoor unit, and it mixed with this 7 degree or 0 degree or whatever degree it is, it brings out a temperature ranging between 18 to 22 degree. At this temperature, we humans feel the cooling that is required for us to be productive within our space. So this is the basic explanation of how air conditioning works. I'll go through it again. Your compressor, when you on your compressor through your electricity, gases are compressed. And the two components that has direct effect on the refrigerant is the pressure and the temperature. Because they are compressed, the pressure is high, the temperature is high. After the compressor, the next phase is the outdoor unit. The outdoor unit is always installed outdoor because it discharges heat. So when it discharges the heat, you see here, the temperature drops, the pressure remains high. In order for you to reduce the pressure, you need to pass it through what they call the expansion valve. And once the expansion valve creates that reduced pressure, at this point, the pressure is lower and the temperature is also lower. The refrigerating effect we're actually looking for has been gained. You get my point? Then the next stage is your indoor unit. The indoor unit has what they call the evaporator. The evaporator effect is that it sucks all the heat within the space, cool the heat, and pump it into the space. That is why you feel cooling. That is why people become more productive. That is why your machine work effectively when they are within the cool environment. Then your data center also work efficiently when the environment is cool. So all these basic components are required. Don't forget, if you are going to have a test or an exam, if they ask you the 4 basic components for air conditioning system, please mention compressor, mention condenser, mention expansion valve or thermostatic expansion valve, and mention the evaporator. Then one other component that also go with your unit is your fan. This heat cannot be discharged without a fan. A fan is always installed in your outdoor units, and a fan is also installed in your indoor unit. That fan brings about sucking and discharge. Also the same thing with your outdoor unit. When you go in front of your outdoor unit, you see that the air is being pushed out and cooler air from the environment is being sucked in to cool the compressor. The same opposite happen in your evaporator. Can we, any question, or we reserve all questions to the end of the class, please? Any question now, or we reserve all questions to the end of the class? Hello?
Let's be at the
Let's
end of the
reserve
class.
them to the end of the class.
End of the class.
Okay, please take all your notes down and put it, you just write it out. At the end of the class, we'll run through it. Then these basic components are the things you need to look out for when AC fail to function, when ACs are not maintained. These major components are what you need to look out for in every component. Those that can screenshot and save this, because I want to wipe up this and go to the AC maintenance proper. So where is our erase? Okay, sorry. Okay, so we'll go to the next class, air conditioning maintenance. So first of all, how do we define maintenance? Maintenance in general can be defined as an effort taken to keep the condition and performance of a machine always like the condition and performance of the machine when it is still new. Most of us know these days that maintenance is the key of all your assets. You can also digress to some other assets that you have within your facility, your generator, your lift, your air conditioning system, your swimming pool, your sauna machine, depending on the facility you are maintaining, your speakers, your inverters, your transformers, and the rest. If you are not maintaining, don't expect the equipment to work as required. And the equipment can decide to embarrass you at the major component when your managers are having meeting, when you are expecting a visitor, an important visitor within your facility, it can run you down. So the essence of this training is for you to apply this knowledge of maintenance in every other component. So at the end, we'll teach you how to do what they call a planned preventive maintenance. You can use your Excel sheets to do that. Those that can have the luxury of buying software to put all your components in can go ahead and do that, but you can also use your mobile phone to also ensure that updates are given to you about your asset. Like I said, maintenance is keeping the equipment as if it is still new. Then don't forget, we have various components of maintenance. We have the reactive and stroke unplanned maintenance. Then we have the proactive and planned maintenance. Reactive maintenance, about 80 to 90% of Nigeria fall into this group. And sorry to say, some facility managers also fall into this group. If it does not break down, we will not fix it. The essence of this training is to remove that culture of allowing things to break down before you fix it, and move your ideology, your mentality into a proactive and a planned environment or culture where equipment run effectively without shutting down throughout a year. For 5 years, 10 years, your equipment will keep running efficiently. Then under your reactive and unplanned, we have what they call corrective. And don't forget, Nigeria is not a producing country. Most of the equipment within our facility are purchased abroad. Just imagine some of your equipment are purchased in Russia. God have mercy. Presently, Russia has been banned in businesses and the rest in the world. You cannot replace all those components. So once it breaks down, just be making plans for replacement. So this also factor into your selection method. You know, when you want to buy a car, somebody will tell you, buy Toyota. Why? Toyota readily have parts in Nigeria. Why will you buy an equipment that does not have parts, that you have to wait 3 or 6 months before it is imported. It is a bad culture for a facility manager to rely on equipment that does not have parts. And if you must buy this equipment, do you have plan to stock some major components that will go bad? You can stock equipment, components within the equipment that can go bad. You understand? If this is the culture you want to have, but I will not advise you, because if you don't have all those things in place, be ready for your clients to move out of your building, because your aim as a facility manager is to meet up to the expectation of your clients, reduce costs, and maximize profits. That is your basic aim in any facility. And if you are not meeting up to this, you have already failed as a facility manager. Then if you want to join the winning team, I will advise us to move into what they call a planned or proactive type. Proactive is that before it breaks down, you already fix it. When you hear some noise in your equipment, you're already out calling your vendor. Please come. The equipment is still working. Even your client might ask you, why are you repairing it? This thing is still working. Sir, I heard some funny noise there. This thing might have issues later. Then you plan when your maintenance will take place. When will your client be available? When will they not be available? You have a facility that runs from Monday till Friday. Then you can book Saturday or Sunday to run your maintenance plan. Or if you cannot do that, you can decide to have your maintenance after close of work. So you can plan before they resume the next day, your equipment is operational. One of those of us that are in banks, banks is the basic component in Nigeria. Your economic depends on that because of the financial transaction that takes place. If you cannot run an effective planned maintenance, be ready for shutdown. Just imagine your AC in your server room shut down. Do you know how many complaints we troop in? Most especially during weekend, we notice that one particular ATM has shut down. People cannot withdraw money. When this become continuous, what happens? Customers start pulling out their money to go to other banks. Who is the cause of this? The facility manager, because you have not been proactive in making plans. Then after being proactive, there are two things you need to consider. We have what they call predictive maintenance, and we have what they call preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance is for you to study your manuals to know when equipment is due. Sometimes you can look at the circumstances around your environment and draw up your conclusion. My facility might decide to maintain an AC for 3 months. Your facility, that might not work for your facility because your AC are installed in a dusty environment. You don't need to wait for 3 months. Yours, what applied to your side might be every month, or what applied to your side can be every week or 3 weeks. Look at your environment and make a proactive decision. Then predictive maintenance is you using graph. There are some data you need to collect and put into sheets. So when you see the trends of how the graphs is going, for those of us that are among stock, that do stock, Nigeria Forex and the rest, you see when the trends are going down, people decide to do what? To sell or buy. So the same is what happened in predictive maintenance. You decide, this graph is positive, the equipment is still okay. But if your graph is going lower towards the negative point that can impact your facility, then you use that graph to make decisions. Then this is not based on maybe 1 month, maybe 3 months. This is depending on what you get from your data. Then the next one is a constant interval. Constant interval is that you decide, okay, I've gotten how my site look like. All my preventive maintenance for my AC is going to be every month. So you start doing your AC maintenance every month. Then the other one could also be age-based. This equipment is old. Let us do a general maintenance. Not that the equipment has failed, not that the equipment has shut down. You just decided to make a proactive step by doing your maintenance. Imperfect maintenance, that your maintenance can be irregular, not constant. You just say, okay, let us maintain this equipment. They are still working, but you are taking proactive steps so that it will not shut down. Then on the predictive type, we have what they call reliability centered, then condition based. I was in one of Shell facilities some times ago. I discovered a guy pulling out oil from their generator. I look at the quality of oil. I told the guy, this thing is still good. Why are you taking this thing out? The guy told me that their design is that after 2 weeks, their oil must be changed, whether good or bad. That is what they have been doing. And the engine, their generator, have never failed them once. And the generator have run throughout a whole year without any emergencies. So you can adopt a plan, preventive or predictive type, to ensure that your assets, your components, your equipment are running effectively. Go to the next one. So our focus will be plan preventive maintenance. So preventive maintenance is the regular and routine maintenance of equipment and assets in order to keep them running and prevent any costly unplanned downtime from unexpected equipment failure or breakdown. So that is self-explanatory. So a successful maintenance strategy requires planning and scheduling. How do we plan? First of all, through your manual. Some of us have been into the field. They've had knowledge of how the equipment runs. Your generator now, they say, how long do you manage your generator? People will tell you 250 hours. Some might be 200 hours. But for your AC, the basic requirement for maintenance is every quarter. And every quarter is every what? 4 months. Every quarter, every three months. So you will now put those plans on the Excel sheet. Probably I will show you at the end of this class on how to plan. Then you sit down with your team. If you are the boss on site, you have technician, you need to sit with your technician and draw out the condition and maintenance plan for each component of your equipment. For AC, it can be 3 months, it can be 2 weeks, it can be monthly, it can be 6 months in a year, and the rest are the rest. Just look for what apply for your site. This allows the equipment to be in good condition at all times before a problem or breakdown occur. Then please note, the frequency of air conditioning maintenance depends on the quality of its environment. Major problem with AC is the condition of the environment. If your outdoor unit is installed where you have too much dust, or your indoor unit have lot of dust, you know, when your janitors are sweeping your facility, the ACs are working. Like I said, your indoor unit suck. And each time it suck, there's a filter within the system. That filtration, if once it gets blocked, it affects the efficiency of it discharging required cooling until it is pressure washed or use brush to clean the dust, clean your filter, the AC might not work as you require. So your indoor air quality must be clean at all times. Your outdoor air quality, your AC outdoor unit must be installed in a neat and a clean environment, probably suspended in air with your hanger on the wall. That might be a preferred one. Then if you are opportune to have a central system on site where you have chillers installed on the roof of your building, then better for you, because we have more dust low down to the earth than away from the earth. So most buildings sometimes considering putting their chillers or their VRF unit or their outdoor unit on the roof. Sometimes it could be the challenge of space. Then the indoor unit suck air from its environment, cools it, and send it out to you for your comfort. Also with the outdoor unit. For clean environment, half a year or biannual preventive maintenance is required. I've said something close to this. For moderate environment, a quarterly preventive maintenance is required. Please take note. Then for a polluted environment, it could be monthly that you need to clean up. Then I give a good example. Sometimes your outdoor unit is likewise it can be compared to a component in your car, and that component is your radiator. If you stay in a flooded environment, each time you drive out of your house and you enter a flood, that flood, don't forget, they have small particles of sand. Each time it passes through the radiator evaporates the water and deposits some of those things in your car. And as you drive off, you see that your car is what? Overheating. Each time the vehicle overheat, what message is it giving to you? The vehicle could shut down. The same thing applies to your outdoor unit. Once it sucks enough dust, there's no effective exchange of cool air within the environment with your outdoor air. It what? Begins to work abnormal. And if care is not taken, it breaks down your compressor. And don't forget, your compressor is the basic, most expensive component of all the 4 components I've mentioned to you. Now, because the dollar value is bad, the compressor could actually cost you fortune. So the best bet before it breaks down, please do your maintenance. They called us from one facility on the island. They had a VRF system. They had a poor installation of their VRF system. The outdoor unit is within the building. There's no effective cool air coming into the building itself. So the compressor started shutting down. And these are massive equipment. When we now finally called in a company to come and replace the compressor, they told us each of the compressor is costing 1.2 million. And they need to change 4 million naira. Is that part of your budget for the year as a facility manager? And what is the assurance? What is the assurance that if this is replaced, it will work as required? These are tough decisions a facility will now be exposed to. Because when you are not performing, the company is not making money. To fire you is just a hand's length away from you. So your decision matters a lot. There's something I escaped in the beginning. Before you take up a facility, you must do what they call audits, a condition-based assessment of the building before you take up some responsibility of a building. The conditional assessment tells you the condition of the equipment. It tells you what the client needs to do. You also give an advice of what they need to do to restore those equipment in place. If they have discovered this, they will have pointed out that this equipment need to be replaced, or they need to open more space for air to come in before those equipment shut down. Please, you need to take note of these little things. For extreme polluted outdoor environment, a fortnight that is happening or produced every 2 weeks. Sometimes it will be 2 weeks. If you are working in a factory where the environment is too dusty, the roads are not tight, be ready to increase your maintenance plan. And don't forget, once you increase your maintenance plan, you pay more. He who does maintenance twice in a year, his budget is always lower. He who does quarterly, your budget will be more. And those that do monthly, it is going to increase in that order. Then those that does 2 weeks, you are going to end up having 24 times in a year that you are going to be doing your maintenance. So for a facility manager, there are 2 decisions you can take. It's either you employ an experienced technician that knows how to handle your equipment. So once it's time for equipment, you don't need to call the installer. You call your technician to go ahead and maintain your equipment. You only pay them salary. Then those that have the luxury or have a central system within their building, you still need to be careful in your decision in getting the right company to maintain your equipment. For a killer system, like I said in the beginning, we don't produce these components in Nigeria. You need to go abroad and buy some of this equipment. The best bet you can do is to sign a contract, probably with the installer. Before you call in any vendor to maintain your equipment, check whether they have stock of all major components. Check whether the part can be purchased in the market. Those 2 things must be matched before you finally put pen on paper. You understand? For central system, I will advise to sign up with the people that does the installation. Then for middle and residential units, I will prefer, if you want to save your budget, you can go for an employed staff, or you can have a maintenance plan that comes periodically, maintained, then they go. Then for major issue, you can always call. So the decision is at your disposal. Sorry. The major focus on facility management. If you go through your facility, What are the things that are of concern to you? The people. You can't run a facility without the people, be it a stadium. You need people to watch match. You need dressing room for your players. You understand? If it be a museum, there are people within the place. There are people that needs to be cool. There are people that needs fresh air units. There are people that needs to enjoy your facility. Are you talking of a church or a mosque? Are we talking of what? A park that people require so long the place is enclosed, a shopping mall. You can also consider this in your facility. Then the process, it could be the activities being carried out within the place. What kind of activities are they carried out? Is it a banking sector? Is it a church? Is it a dancing hall? Because if you are doing your design and you're selecting an equipment, you consider the activity done within a space to determine the kind of cooling required. If you are designing for a church, sorry for using this, a select church, you know, they clap hand and they dance a lot. The selection of equipment is quite different from people reading in a library. Every activities in a library is quiet and solemn. You understand? So your selection of equipment varies. But if you are going to design for an Olympic stadium, your design knowledge is quite different. So the environment you are designing for, it matters a lot. Why I'm bringing this up, along the way, your client might call you, facility manager, we need an AC within this hall. We want to increase it. So that gives you an idea of what you will require within that place. Then place, your location, site, your home, or where transaction take place. Place might be location. Is your place located in an highly tense sun? The place your facility is in, the place your facility is located matters a lot. Then the material used for your building also matters a lot. Did they use glass, all glass for your facility? If they use glass and sun rises where you have your glasses, you already having a problem. So to solve those problems, you can buy a window blind to trap up the heat just within that area without affecting the cooling required within that space. The materials you use for your selection matters. This is a little bit of design, which I believe is not for this club, but you need to have a knowledge of all these things. Then why do we need to maintain our HVAC system? To create comfort, to improve indoor air quality. When you say you create comfort, you see people, they've discovered over time that people that are in a very cozy, cool environment tends to be more productive than people that are in heated environments. When you are listening, when I watch TV sometimes, I see people sweating while they are talking. I know the AC is not sufficient or AC is not installed. Or you see people blowing themselves in a hall where you have large number of people. You know that the air conditioning system is not sufficient. But when you see people, no matter the activities done, their body is dry. Tell me the AC within that place was designed to perfection. So you talk about improving air quality. Your AC has a filter. Any dust discharged into the space is being taken care of by the filter within the AC, thereby improving the quality of air within this space. When the COVID-19 outbreak came, there are a lot of clients that are looking for a way to take care of microbes within their environment. There are some installation that can remove some microbe from air, but you will need a kind of filter they call hyperfilter. And this is mainly in central system. But for your split unit, you just need to disinfect every time. Then when your equipment are well maintained, you save money. You save yourself from breakdown. You understand? To reduce total breakdown, to prolong the system lifespan. Your system lifespan get longer. Your neighbor that is not doing regular maintenance is already changing his AC equipment after 1 or 2 years. Why yours have lasted 5 years? Because you have adopted the winning team strategy by using what? The planned preventive maintenance. Then to reduce noise, some equipment, once they are not fully maintained, the first thing you start hearing from such equipment is noise because the components are not working as required. To keep the humidity and the temperature within this place within regulated amount, Humidity. Why do we talk of humidity and temperature? Humidity is talking about the quantity of water in air. Presently, we can breathe in well. But when it comes to the dry season period, there's always cases of what? People coughing, people having serious throat infection, because one, the air molecule within your nose are dry. The air that is supposed to remove dust are somehow dry. They allow all kinds of air to come in. That's why most people during the harmattan period in Nigeria have all this. Then when you have small moist in air, it aids your breathing very well. You understand? So those also matter. Then the temperature within the environment is kept within the design requirements by ASHRAE to improve efficiency of our electrical equipment. Sometimes when your equipment are not properly working, they could have a direct effect on your DB. They could have a direct effect on your electrical component. Then to keep our data center running, once the cooling is required, your data center run efficiently. Then to increase productivity. What are companies looking out for? Increase in productivity and increase in profit. A staff that is more productive bring in more money than those that are not productive. What is HVAC? HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. You might ask the heat there, what does it stand for? Heating. Then you talk of the V. The V talk about ventilation. You ask, what is ventilation doing in AC? It also matter in HVAC. Where will you need it? In your AC does some kind of ventilation because the air need to move from one point to the other for you to be cool. Like I said, the indoor unit suck the hot air and discharge the cool air. That is a form of ventilation. Then where ventilation is utilized effectively is your restroom and your kitchen. You know, most those days in our villages, we see some one woman cooking at the kitchen, always separated from the house. Why? Because they are using firewood, they are using coal. And this work produces what they call carbon dioxide, and this can actually kill. So what they did those days was to separate the kitchen from in your house, even your restroom, your toilets. What did they do in the villages? You have to walk about maybe 10 or 20 meters away from your home. You see a toilet just by the bush side there. That is what some people in the village do, because what will come out of us actually smell. When it decays, it can bring all kinds of disease and the rest. But technology has improved. All these things can be within our space and we manage what comes out from it. So for ventilation, smell from your restroom when people poo can be taken away without destroying the environment of that place by what? Your extractor fan. Your kitchen, when you cook, the smoke are being discharged or something get bad in the kitchen. Maybe you are cooking fish, the fresh fish, you forgot to take them out, and the next day they started smelling. Your extractor actually take those smell and discharge them out. That's why ventilation is also important in your building. Then we talk about the AC, the magician. That one cools you, give you the comfort that you have. You know, the difference between a shopping mall and my 12 market is packaging. My 12 does everything that the mall does. Only that people that started the mall, they came with a more sophisticated idea. How can we have a cozy, cool environment where people can transact without messing up themselves? They brought the idea of having a mall where you have different shops, and that invariably increase the property, increase the value of your property. You have a barbing salon and the place is well cool. You have a salon for the female where they make their hair or cut their nails and the rest, the place is well cool. You see that you attract more customers to yourself. So air conditioning system is a basic component that increase the value of your property. You are bringing people into your facility, maybe an estate where you don't have AC. The value of that property goes down immediately. You are in a church, there is no AC there. You don't attract the big boss you have in Nigeria to your church. Those church you have in Lekki and the rest, you have well-cooled AC there. People talk about, ma'am, that place is cool. You can praise God, your spirit will be lifted, you understand? You understand? So you need all these things within your space. So what are the factors that you must look at in that space. We look at your temperature, we look at humidity, air distribution, air quality, air velocity. We also look at, sorry, let me carry this thing up. We also look at the noise level compared to fan. You might ask, why is noise level a problem? There are some people that cannot work well when there is noise within the space. I've worked in a facility. When there is noise, the people tell you they are going to work from home. Why is this AC making noise? So you need to understand your clients and find the appropriate solution to solve that problem. Then I've explained the basic components, so we just go through it again. How can I drag this thing to one side? Okay, we have explained this basic component before. This is your indoor unit and this is your outdoor unit. I believe all of us knows this. This condenser is actually in your outdoor unit, while your evaporator has this. The blue line shows that it's bringing out cooling, while the heated line is showing that it is hot. You see, when you on it from the compressor, it goes into the condenser. From the condenser, it goes to where? Your expansion valve. There's supposed to be an expansion valve somewhere. There's supposed to be an expansion valve somewhere, probably this one, before it goes straight into your evaporator. Then the evaporator breaks out the cooling. Then they take up the heat. Then the refrigerant becomes heated again. Then the process becomes a cycle, so a continuous process. Then this is also the basic of this one here. This just to show you what I've explained in full detail. So these are the major components of what I've initially explained. Other components you can see in this is your evaporator fan, the condenser fan, electrical cables, electrical plug, your dryer, your side glass, temperature sensor, your thermostat, and then your capacitor. Those are other components that was factored into the AC to make it work very efficiently. Then type of air conditioning system. In your facility, if we are in a class, I will have asked one-on-one what AC is in our building. Some people have only split units. Some people are privileged to have VRF units. Some have a central unit. And it's possible we don't have any of this. It's possible we don't have any of this. But like I said, every AC has different functions they perform. Some ACs are divided into non-ductable type. They have a ductable unit and they have a non-ductable unit. Non-ductable units are your split units. When they say, when the cool air is produced by the AC, is being discharged directly into space. Those are the non-ductable air conditioning system. Then when you talk about ductable air conditioning system, the ACs, the air conditions are cooled, produced in a central system, they need to be conveyed into space. So in order to convey them, they now need a metallic substance called the duct that is used to channel this duct into different sections of the building, most especially in a high-rise building, a shopping mall, a big church, a big mosque, and the rest. And at the discharge point, they have what they call a diffuser. It could be a two-way, it could be a one-way, it could be a three-way, it could also be a four-way diffuser. But majorly, we have four-way diffusers. These diffusers actually bring in cool air within this place in four various directions. Then under the non-ductable, we have the split unit, then we have the window unit. The window unit is the student air conditioning system. You don't need to plug it. Just plug and play is this one. Just put your 15 hands plug and put it because it's direct from your factory. But a split unit has an outdoor unit, has an indoor unit. It needs to go through the installation process because you need somebody to wet, you need somebody to brace, you need somebody to pressure test, you need to do vacuuming, you need to discharge any gas that is not within this, that is within the system, and you charge with the refrigerant required for the AC before this one can work. In terms of security, the split unit guarantees security because it allows only little opening on the wall. But where you have window units, you need to break a whole full wall and protect your window unit. You don't want to sleep at night. When you wake up in the morning, they cut the iron you have placed to protect it, and your AC have been removed. Then somebody, you see one mysterious person inside your house. You understand? So for security reason, most people prefer to go for split units. But if you can afford it, you can go for it. But they are not the best design for a luxurious apartment, both the split and the window unit. If you have been to CMS, the bookshop, when you go to bookshop, bus stop, you see the building where you have about my calling. When you look at the building, you see how AC deface that building. You have some split unit, you have some window unit, you have different things. It does not give value to your property. If you go to Sheraton Hotel and Towers, you go to some luxurious apartment you have in town, you will never see any air conditioning hanging around the building. It's either they are installed on the basement or they are installed on top of the roof. You only come into the building and you feel the cooling effect. Those buildings has more value than those that have split unit installed around the building. Then we have the floor type. Then we have the wall mounted unit. The wall mounted unit could be those units that are mounted on the wall. Apart from the regular split unit you know about, there are other kinds of AC units. Probably you'll see them as we progress. Then we have ceiling mounted unit too that also does the same work with this. Then under that we have the extracted type, the breakaway type, then the cassette type. Please, the person coming talking as you mute, please. I'm hearing noise from the background. Or you want to ask a question? Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Hello?
Go ahead, right on.
Okay. Then on the other side, we have packaged air conditioning unit. We have central plant. If you go to most of the building, we have on Marina, you talk of the First Bank, you talk of Union Bank, you talk of Sterling Bank and the rest. You see on top of their building, you have this chiller system installed on top of their building. And if you go into the building, you see what they call AHU, air handling unit. All these air handling units are connected together to produce cooling. And this cooling is taken from that particular plant and ducted to different offices and with diffuser where cooling takes place. So in your building, you might be virtuous to have only ducted units. You might be opportunity to have any unit. But nevertheless, every air conditioning system works almost the same way. The basic principle of air conditioning system, if what I've explained initially, they work the same way. The method of discharging cooling is what brought about the non-ductable and the ductable type. So all these are self-explanatory. I'll just run through them. Then the floor standing package unit. There are some package units that are standing. If you go to Shell has some package units that are standing, but you need to duct it to those places. So on those kind of equipment, you have what they call high static fan that can actually throw cool air at a far distance. So for that building, that is what works for them. Then we have air-cooled ductable unit. The essence is that the unit is installed somewhere and does convey the cooling to another location. We have the air-cooled type and they have the water-cooled type. They are also ducted. The method of cooling the condenser is what gave them their name. When they say air-cooled, is using the natural air to cool, which is very free. Then water-cooled type. That means you need to install some other component like cooling towers, some other component pumps and the rest to pump in water to actually cool this equipment. Most of all these water cool are seen in nuclear power plants. When you generate much energy and you need cool water to cool it, you will now see a very big, massive civil work. They call it the cooling tower that actually cool the amount of energy produced out to cool it. You understand? Then we have the DS system. The DS system is a direct way of cooling. Your split unit is also a DS system, but this type has a ductable unit attached to it. Then we have the chiller water system. You have the the vapor compression unit, the vapor absorption unit, and a host lot of them. Of all of you listening to me now, one of these components can be in your building. Please, what I've said, every AC works the same way. It's only the method of discharging cooling that makes them different. So don't be surprised. Then this is the most efficient and self-installed equipment we have. These are one of the first air conditioning system that was made, and it was very, very okay. But they have their challenges because before you install them, you need to open a portion of your building, then use an iron bar to protect it from being stolen. Just imagine you have a 10-story building, and they advise you as a facility manager, please give us an air conditioning system, and you're recommending a split unit. Just imagine the destruction on the body of the building before these units are installed. Then where you can find most of all these things are also listed there. Then these are the split units. These are basically the major ones we have around Nigeria. So for a residential unit, a new family, upcoming single person, these are what they actually go for. But you must buy the one that can work with your generator because there might not be regular power supply. Then I've also explained the indoor unit, how it works. Anytime you see a red line means a hot air coming into the split unit. Then at the down part, you see a cooler air being discharged. The same way that this is happening is also done outside. A discharged hot air from the front and cool air from the environment is sucked into the unit and it cools it. You can find this in our home, offices, school, higher institution, etc. Then split units. Why did they come to this ducted or cassette side? Some people want something fancy. They don't want anything mounted in their house because their house might be a luxurious type. They want everything installed upwards. So in order for you to get all those, so what do? We give them the split unit. Then this also comes with its own problem. I will talk about the problem later. The split unit actually has a pump. If the pump is not properly installed, you have flood of water falling back into your sitting room or the place it is being installed. Then this one too can be mounted in the ceiling. Then duct unit is run through it, then discharge through your diffusers. This is another type. They call this fan coil unit. It also can be installed in the ceiling or it can be concealed. They call it concealed type sometimes. They also need a duct unit to discharge. These are various types you have. Now, most hotels they go for most of all this design. Then if you see under, because the evaporator sweats, they put what they call a tray just under to collect the water. Then you must ask your plumber to do a very professional installation because once the tray is full, water begins to drop within the building. Then package unit. When I say package unit, we talk about split unit the other time. All the major components are within a particular system. That is why they call them package. That is where we have self-contained. When you tell somebody I'm living in a self-contained, that means everything is within a building. When you talk of face me and face you, it's more like a split unit. You understand? So a package unit, every component, the compressor, the condenser, the expansion valve, the evaporator are installed in one component, but separated. One is discharging heat while the other is supplying cool air. So these are places they can be installed. Then these are the big brother of air conditioning system, a chiller system. Then you have the air cool type, you have the water cool type. Each chiller is the one that they use in large spaces, like a stadium. If you go to Dubai, you see most of the Dubai space, a big more being cooled by a massive equipment. You wonder how the people cooling this place. You can be surprised that they can have up to 20 or 30 of these chiller working simultaneously to cool the entire space. They have chiller that can handle up to 1,000 tons of cooling. These are just small. These fans are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are just 5. 5 times 2, 10. They have chiller that have up to 20 of this fan on top of it. It contains a 40-feet container, even longer than a 40-feet container. Why am I saying this? Because the chiller is actually designed, your space is directly proportional to the cooling required within a space. So if you do your heat load calculation, it gives you the volume of the cool air required to cool within a space. Then this is what they call absorption chiller. This is one of the chiller. When I was working in my former company, we deliver for one of our client bats, to be more precise, and each of them is costing between 90 to 100 million. Then they use heat. They use another form of cooling to bring about cooling effect for their machine, because they were going into full automation, and that full automation requires a lot of cooling. So instead of having multiple chillers, they adopted in buying this. They are very heavy, they are massive, and they give you tons of cooling required within the space. Then another form of AC you can have in your building are the VRF. They either call it variable refrigerant flow or VRV. You can also be variable refrigerant volume, but it's still the same. It's just the people that want to claim we are the one that discovered it first. They now gave it a separate name. The beauty of this is that you have one small outdoor unit working with variety of indoor units. It's also an energy saver. The outdoor unit for a VR system has a capacity to sense the cooling required within the space. The unit itself has up to 3 to 4 compressors depending on the design parameters. If the 3 compressors are working fully, assuming it has 3, that means it requires a lot of cooling within the space. Then one other component that people look at into the refrigerant VRF is that it can sense any drop in heat within that space. If the place is cooling lower, you have fewer people within the space, the 3 compressors will not work. The master compressor tells the other 2 compressors to shut down. And each time the 2 shut down, you are saving money in the process, because your compressor is the largest component that consumes a lot of energy. So if the 3 are working, you pay more. If one is working, you pay less. So if people now start trooping into space and the volume of people increase, definitely the heat within the space increase. The compressor will now tell compress 2, can you please stand up? Compress 3, can you please start up? So they will start up just to match up to the cooling required within that space. So please take note. We also have other type of HVAC system not listed in this presentation, but are used in various sectors. Have you ever asked what type of AC are used in a submarine? Have you ever asked what type used in ships, used in airplanes, used in rockets? When they launch rocket, there's a form of cooling required within this component. The submarine that stays inside water, there's a kind of equipment that they install. You can't tell me to go and install a split unit, indoor unit and outdoor unit inside the sea. How will that work? In a ship, their kind of AC is different from the one we have, because the environment within the sea is harsh, corrosive. So if the coils are not well treated, I can tell you the residential unit equipment you use that lasts you for 6 months will not last 3 months on sea, because all the components, because the water is full of salt, each time water pours on it, it eats up the major components in your AC. Thereby, you need to replace in a short time. Occupy the air, Spain, and the rockets. How do we maintain this air conditioning system? Most of the AC listed above have similar basic components, which I've mentioned to you: the compressor, the condenser coil, the expansion valve, and the evaporator coil. So this is the compressor. This is how it looks like. They are always black because they discharge heat. Those of us that are engineers, you know the rules for the black body, that they say black body attract a lot of heat. Till today, scientists don't know why. Of all colors, black body tends to absorb more heat than others. Then we have various type of compressor. Though this is not actually fully yours, but have an idea of how it is. We have a positive displace compressor, dynamic. Then we have reciprocating, rotary, single acting, double acting, diaphragm, lobe screw, vane screw, and liquid ring. Under dynamic, we have the centrifugal force and the axial. The centrifugal is common in air conditioning system, and we have the axial type also. So whichever be the case, they work the same way. Then this screw type is also common in most fleet indoor air units. So take note of them. Then when you go to bigger units, you see all these screw, then the positive displays on the reciprocating type also, depending on the load they want to handle. Then why compressor goes bad? Low refrigerant charge. When you're, just imagine human being that does not have much blood in his body, they say low blood pressure can kill. Then high blood pressure can also kill. So in order for you to remain alive, it has to be moderate. Every compressor has the required refrigerant required in that system. The refrigerant R22 requires a quantity to be within a system. Then another thing that can also kill your compressor is poor ventilation. You go to some buildings in VR, you see that their units are installed. The building is so beautiful, so nice that the units are installed in their balcony. The balcony is well covered. I give an example of one building I went to along Bodilon. We went for inspection. We discovered that the client actually installed his outdoor unit in on the balcony. So each time they say the AC is not working well, it's not working fine. For the outdoor unit to work fine, it needs to discharge heat and take cool air from the environment to cool itself. If that process is stopped, it does not give the required cooling. So I think the house girl is very intelligent. So what she discovered in that balcony is always hot. So each time she washed their clothes, the girl dries the clothes within the balcony. And within 30 minutes, all the clothes are dry. So she find a way of making her madam happy, but at the same time, there are feelings of cooling within their space. So they called us in and we recommended a solution. They need to break a hole through that balcony so that when this AC discharge, it discharge out of the place. Or another solution is for them to discharge some kind of extraction in the balcony. You put a fan, so you synchronize it with the power of the AC. So when you on the AC, as it's discharging it, the extractor at that part remove that heat from the balcony and throw it out. Thereby, nature itself does not allow vacuum. As you are discharging, what happens? Cool air will be forced to come to the balcony, thereby improve the cooling within that place. Block suction line. When your suction lines are blocked, the required refrigerant does not get to the compressor. It gives what? A problem. Poor power supply. And this is a friend, everybody in Nigeria have experienced this. When they bring light, before you to know that there's light, you have to on your torch light to know, light day. You understand? That kind of environment, the AC will not come up. And if you force the AC to come up, you will kill the compressor. Poor or bad installation. When your ACs are poorly designed or poorly installed, it could also have direct impact on your outdoor unit. Factory problems too. Your compressor can come damaged from the factory. So for this, you need to buy AC where they have what? They have warranty to cover for them. Bad capacitor. Sometimes what gives problem in the AC unit can be your capacitor. Once the capacitor is not functioning, your compressor cannot start because your compressor have what they call high starting current. In order to boost up that starting current, a capacitor must be installed that match the capacity of your compressor. Sometimes on the body, you see what they call 3 UF. That UF is what they know in the market, but for an engineer, we call it the 3 microfarad. So when you go to the market, it is still the same thing you must buy for the replacement. The run pipe size. If you use the run pipe size for your compressor, it could also affect it. When you buy an AC, there's always a manual going with your AC. There are particular sizes that go for suction and liquid line. It could be 1/2 inches, it could be 3/4, it could be this. So what the essence of this training for you to have general knowledge of all these things I'm mentioning. You are not a technician. Please take note of that. You are not a technician. Then solution, ensure the refrigerant is within required standard. Your manual will give you those information. Provide good ventilation for your AC. When you install your AC, Don't block the front of your AC, and don't allow your technician to dry clothes in front of your AC. Instead of the heat to be discharged, the heat is affecting your units. Then clear junction lines. Sometimes when your unit is poorly installed, you need to do what they call discharge pressure test of your unit. If there are any blockage along the line, a high pressure gas like nitrogen can actually blow them out. Ensure power supply installation or install what they call AVS. If your power is not good, you can install an AVS. Your power to your AC can go to the AVS. Then from the AVS, you connect to your AC. So if your AVS detect any funny power, this either high or low, it cuts off the power supply before it damages the compressor. Ensure your products have a warranty. Install good capacitor. I want to see. Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to see what is last there. Okay, use the right pipe sizes. So those are those. So we'll go to the next one. This is how your outdoor unit look like. You see this unit you are seeing, this has what? All these things you are seeing here are copper coil. And those things that look like silver color are aluminum fin. The essence of the aluminum fin is for effective heat exchange. When I say effective heat exchange, is that when the air from outside is drawn into the compressor, it allows equal volume of cool or hot air to be discharged out. That's why the fins are installed there. They are aluminum. Then at no time should you buy AC that has a aluminum coil. Always buy the one that has copper coil, because once aluminum is damaged, you might not be able to fix it. Then your fan also is a component in your AC. Once you on the AC, your fan blows, is the one that caused about the socket. Once the fan blows, it blows the hot air from your compressor outward, then suck in cool air from the outside to cool the condenser. These are your compressor located here. This is your capacitor, and your electrical connection are done at this point. And don't forget, your indoor unit has a portion where it will be connected to your outdoor unit here. So when you power on your indoor unit, it actually sends signals to your outdoor unit. They both start working. But the outdoor unit compressor pick up first. And in your compressor, it takes time for a compressor to start, because in your compressor, there's an oil, a refrigerating oil in your compressor. So the essence of that refrigerating oil is to enable the refrigerant gas to move freely. So if you want to know if the refrigerant has the AC is not working, sometimes when you go to your copper coil close to the compressor, you see some oily thing around your copper coil. You know that there is a stress on one particular part of your copper coil. That's why the oil within the compressor has been discharged. So once you see oil around that place, know that there's no refrigerant gas in your system. So there's no way it can work. Any human being that does not have blood within their system cannot function well. So take note of that. Your system must be firmly installed. You can see this. Once you install your outdoor unit, you must pull them firm in a place, because your technician can actually sit on them and move the copper coil. And you know copper coils are not rubber. If you put too much stress on them, you can cut them at a particular point and the refrigerant gas will be discharged. Those can be the reason why your ACs are not cooling. A common problem with your condenser coil, block coil. What can block coil? Ducts, bent copper fin. If the aluminum fin are not properly open, they are covered. There's no way the condenser can suck air from outside to cool itself. And if the temperature of the compressor keep going up, it will definitely shut down. I give you another example. One of the shopping mall in Maryland, we went there one day. So they experienced last sum of sales some years ago. They called us in to come and improve on their AC installation. So we got there, we discovered that their AC was actually installed in front of a generator. The generator was overheating, so they opened the door. So as the AC is discharging heat, the generator is also facing the heat to the generator. So the compressor is a very good, the AC was a good side. If it gets to a particular temperature, the compressor by itself shuts down. It does not go bad. So with that, the AC does not work. When it cools again, you on the AC, it comes on. So the problem continues because they were losing customers to other shopping malls. So we came in and advised them to move the AC away from where the heat from the generator is discharging. So you must not put your condenser or block it or introduce another component discharging heat direct at it. Please stop those traditions. Then poor installation, ensure a professional installation for this. Then leaked coil. Solution, clear block coil with pressure washing machine. Ensure the fins are not bent. Good installation. Then block any leakage by brazing, welding, or the rest. Then your expansion valve. This is how your expansion valve look like. Like I said, its own duty is to what? To reduce the pressure within the system, thereby bringing the cooling or the refrigerating effect required for your system. So you might see physical and bigger system. This is how it looks like, please. So common problem with expansion valve, poor installation, poor phase change from compressor, then fake TSV. You know, we have our brothers in the market, the Chinese. I don't know, though the Chinese will not bring fake thing unless we go and bring it from their country. So you must identify fake things. If you get a reputable company, you will get that solved. And you have well-experienced technician, you can also get that solved. Or you have a professional vendor, this can also be solved. For installation, you need to get somebody that knows about AC to do your installation. Then the solutions are clearly there. Good installation, proper phase change from your compressor, then use the right components. Your evaporator coil is another component that brings about the refrigerating effect delivered into your space. And this must be well taken care of. Yes, in front of the evaporator coil, there's always a filter, whether in the air handling unit or in the split unit. That filter is to reduce the volume of dust going direct into it. Once there's a blockage, you will not get the required cooling in the space. So the only way is for you to pump your unit down, take it outdoor, pressure wash it, wash your filter, then do your reinstallation, then you get the maximum cooling required. Then common problem with evaporator coil, block coil, low refrigerant, faulty fan, gas leakage from its coil, then factory error. Sometimes factory error could actually be a problem. If there's a leak in your evaporator coil, it takes the grace of God to be able to determine it on an experienced person. Solution, clean or pressure wash the coil. Ensure required refrigerant is in the unit. Ensure the fan is working as required. Then seal off the leaking gas. Then make use of your warranty once it is factory error. Warranty works. I have been a beneficiary of this. The price for the unit might be expensive, but within a year, once there's a defect in their equipment, a reputable company will withdraw and give you your unit back. Don't look for cheap AC equipment to buy. There are so many ACs coming into Nigeria market. Please buy from a reputable company and ensure that the parts are readily available. Then filter. The filter ensure a cleaner air, improve the indoor air quality within space. And for a bigger unit, we have different kind of filters. You see them, they can be water washable filters, they can be disposable filters, they can be hyper filter. So in your residential unit, these are the major filters you have in it. This you can pressure wash yourself or use your tap to wash them off. Once you see too much dust in it, there's a way you open the lid on your AC unit. Just tap there, then you bring out your filter, take it to the tap, or you pressure wash it gently, dry it, then you can install it back. Then common problems with filter, block filter. Once your filter is blocked, most especially in bigger unit, it leads to poor cooling. Poorly installed filter can also affect. Once your filter is poorly installed, dust can actually gain entrance into it. If the filter is not filtering the dust, it goes direct into either your condenser or your evaporator and it can block it. Once the evaporator is blocked, you start seeing ice form on top of it. And once ice is feeding on top of it, it will not have the opportunity to suck the cool air, the hot air, and bring back the cool air required. Using the wrong filter can also affect. Solution: clean your filters. Install filter properly or states as stated in your operational manual. Use the recommended filter for your unit, then use the appropriate. Use the sorry, I wanted to say use the appropriate filter, and that should be an error. Then water leakage. Another problem that can come from your air conditioning leaking is poor drain system. If your drain system are installed in a way that the water are not flowing as required, know that the water will come back into your building. That can give room to mold growing on your walls. And once mold grows on your wall, it leads, those mold are microorganisms that discharge harmful chemicals into air that can affect you. In facility, there's what they call SBS, sick building syndrome, or bad air quality. So there are some building you go into, you start sneezing. It's because of unhealthy cleaning environment, poor cleaning environment that you have within that place that can lead to all this. So this can be sorted out when your drain is properly installed. So the leakage can actually come from an evaporator or come from your drain line. So when you are running a drain line that is too lengthy, ensure there's air vents at about 2 to 3 meters away from the unit, because once air is trapped inside your drain, it could also lead to backflow. Then if your evaporator is blocked, it can also drop water and leak into your building. Then problems: structural defects in some cases. It may result in smell. It may result in mold on your wall, growth of algae, backflow of water, and this end up within the space. And you don't want to or you will not want such in your environment. If you are in charge of an hotel that pays a premium price, maybe 150,000 per night, and your client is seeing water dropping on his bed, you know he's going to be very mad at that. So you need to ensure the proper things is done. Solution: good installation, proper installation of drain line, install drain exit away from gutters. In a bigger unit, when you are running your drain line, you need to install it away from smelling environment, because the smell can actually follow through the drain line into your space. I'll give you an example of what happened one time. There is in a shopping mall somewhere in Festac. We visited. This man has a children playing a more like a playing ground within the shopping mall. They started experiencing smell within the space. Though that is more like an extraction issue. So where they put the pressure to draw air into the space was where they installed their sockaway. So when the sockaway is full, it discharges the smell into air, then the extraction picks the air and pump within that space. So the man started losing. Somebody that make between 5 to 10 million started recording lower stay 500,000. So called us in to do some investigation. We identify it, and the only solution was to move that thing away from that location so that fresh air will be gotten, and the problem was sorted. Then if you have ice on your condenser, meaning that your coil is blocked, is dusty or not maintained. Poor cooling, it can lead to compressor failure. Efficiency of your AC might be affected. Solution: clean blocks of it with a pressure pump. Place your AC on PPM. Always maintain your AC. Install AC in clean environment. Then remove every source of blockage. Anything that is blocking it, remove it. Then this is your capacitor. This is a whole lecture. This essence of your capacitor is that it boosts your compressor to start. If you want to do a design, I'm giving you a design tactics anyway. If you want to design your AC has two values. We have what they call a starting current, and we have what they call a running current. The starting current is always higher in value than the running current. So when you want to design, I will advise use the starting current for your design. So for compressor, because they have high starting current, they now supported them with what a capacitor. The capacitor store electric charges. So when you on your system, it boosts up the power of your capacity, your compressor to start. So once this man is faulty, the compressor power cannot be boosted when you put on. So the compressor will not start. So how do you know your capacitor is faulty? Sometimes you see that it's swollen. Sometimes you can see it has opened. So once you see all these defects, know that it has a problem. And if there's no defect, then your technician can actually measure and see it. When you measure the capacitance of your capacitor and it falls below, assuming this one is I can see this one clearly. Let us assume this is about 10 microfarad. And when you do your measurement, you are measuring 3 microfarad, 5 microfarad. Know that capacitor has failed and needs to be replaced. Please don't forget that. So what is the function of capacitor? So you can read up this. I've given you a summary what a capacitor does. It boosts up the function of a compressor. And when it fails, it affects the entire system. So some of your technicians that are wise, they will tell you, sir, na compressor bad. And actually, it is your capacitor. Because you don't have the knowledge, the man will play fast on you. You will give him a huge sum. He will go to the market and buy and tell you he has replaced the compressor. Compressor might be, capacitor might be around between 3 and 10,000, depending on the size of your units. You understand? And to replace a compressor can be as high as 50 or 100,000 or more, depending on the size of your units. You see, the guy will pay fast on you. We just buy something of 10,000 and you are paid the rest to him. So you must be smart as facility managers. So problem, poor power supply, fake capacitor, undersized capacitor. So the solution are also listed there. You can do your measurement, determine the poor power supply. If the power is not enough, the capacitor cannot be boosted. Fake one in the market too. Then undersized capacitor. If your system is supposed to carry 10 microfarad and you are using 3 microfarad, just know that your system will not work. Then what are the, sorry, let me carry this. What are the things you look out for when buying an HVAC system? So we are done with maintenance. Then this one is another thing you need to look out for when you are buying your AC. You look at the brand of the air conditioning system, type of refrigerant is using. There are some refrigerants that have been phased out, like R22, though it is still being used in Africa. Abroad in Europe, in America, they stopped using R22 because it is having direct effect on our environment. The ozone layer is being depleted. You hear what they call greenhouse effect and global warming. This is another topic of its own. The warranty period on the product also matter. When you are going to buy an AC and they tell you, sir, the warranty is just 1 month, why will you buy something of that huge amount and they are giving you warranty for 1 month? Any company that is sure of their product should be able to give you a minimum of 12 months or 1 year or some does 18 months, some does 3 years, depending on how reliable their values are. Sometimes you look at the energy efficiency ratio. These days, as facility manager, we don't buy equipment that consume energy. We buy equipment that reduce consumption of energy, because you won't want to buy an AC, you are spending a fortune to own the AC. So at the end of the day, that's why most buildings on the island, they abandoned their chiller system. They started buying the one they can afford, split units. Then aesthetic of your building too matters. If you are in a luxurious apartment, you don't expect to buy window unit or split unit. You can go for a VRF system or a central unit that will work for you. Then your budget too. How much do you have to spend? Can you afford a central system, a VRF system, or a split system? How much can your client afford? What is the purpose of your HVAC system? Why do you want to install an HVAC system? Why do you want to go for a chiller, a VRF system? You must have an explanation. Then the maintenance plan. Is this AC easily maintainable? Can it be maintained? You need to consider that. Is the HVAC part available in the market? Don't just say you want to buy AC, buy it because it's cheap. If the parts are not available, I can tell you within 1 or 2 years, you have to install another equipment. What are the possible causes of HVAC system failure in a facility or building? Poor installation. You enter a building, you see all kinds of installation that was done very wrong. Even most of the luxurious apartments you see in Ikoyi and the rest, when you do proper conditional assessment, you will write off most of the building. Sorry to say, some of the building are falling. The one that had issues recently in Ikoyi, they use the inferior material. Also, you can imagine if they can build building that people have not even started living in, and the building is already down. What is the assurance that they use the right equipment within the building? So if you do your continual assessment, it will absolve you from risk that the client can push on your head. Wrong HVAC system. Instead of you to use split unit, use VR system, you now went to buy a chiller system for a very small store. How would that work? Oversized or undersized design can also have direct impact on your energy. Not taking into consideration the actual cooling load. Because before you select an equipment, you must design a cooling load. Before, like we do be a lot in Nigeria, you can't just tell us sew any style. There's no measurement of your body size to know how it's going to sew it. You just say you should sew a cloth for you. Only for you to go to the occasion, you're now looking like an incredible hawk. Very tight. You cannot breathe well. You cannot move freely in the cloth. So for air conditioning system in a facility, you need to determine the required load. The essence is that the actual required design is what it is the equipment that was selected. If you over-select, you are having direct impact on your energy. And if you under-select, you are having impact on the expectation from you, and the client is not satisfied. You can have direct impact on you. No redundant HVAC system in your server room. Why will you design? In the system, they require 10 kilowatts of cooling, and you just put there 10 kilowatts of cooling. It is not good for a server room. Server room need to have close to about 15 or 20 kilowatts, because the other ones will be on standby while those ones are working, so that if the 1 or 2 fail, the other unit will be activated, so there's no breakdown at any time. Don't forget the creator. When he created the sun, he also created the moon. So when the sun sets, what happened? The moon keeps us alive. The light is always shining. So poor dot installation can also be an effect. Poor dot installation is the fact that some areas are having more cooling than some areas. People here within the building are in Europe, while some people within the same building are in Maiduguri. They are complaining, is it not the same AC working? Because the dot design was wrong. They pump too much cooling to a particular place and less to a particular place. It could be a problem for those that have central system. Then poor maintenance culture. Since you enter the building, they've not maintained the AC one day. You will have multiple problems. Purpose of the design was not clearly defined when they were selecting the equipment. This could also be a problem. No parts are available, and you went to take the cheapest option in the market and install for your client. They will clap for you. The same hand that will clap for you is the same hand that will point out to you to get out of the building. So you need to be very cautious of every decision you take in facility. This training is supposed to broaden your mind to know about other assets you take care of. This is area where Nigeria and Africa entirely is failing. Our maintenance culture is very, very bad. So, and if you have parts available, your decision could help the company save them from lots of embarrassment in the future. Not considering power issue, 1 phase or 3 phase. There are some units, when the powers are down, you discover it's only 1 phase that have lights. And if you have a system that have 3 phase, you are left at the mercy of NEPA and the mercy of using generator. And you know the price of diesel. You want to cool just a portion of a building, you are now owning a generator that is worth about 50 to 100 million to own a chiller system just to cool just a floor. You see the volume of money you are wasting. So you need to put into consideration the consumption and the power rating required for your air conditioning system. Conditional assessment stroke audio of your system. I've already given you details of what is required. You need to check the condition of your equipment before you take them over. Let you and the client be aware of the equipment condition before you take them over, before you sign off. You can even make them to sign off on the conditional assessment. Then give necessary recommendation when the conditional assessments are done. So these are examples of what you need to go through when you are doing your analysis on those. The step required for carrying out an audit. You see, those are straightforward things. These are things we know. Gather the building design data, document for this and that. You know, when you want to buy a car, you go online, check, or you have an experienced person, or you call your mechanic, please come and tell me which car is okay in the market. Please go with me. I want to drive the vehicle around and see. And you know, some mechanic, once they listen to the sound of the vehicle, they will tell you whether the vehicle is okay or it's not okay. So those are things, those third eye that a facility manager needs to have when you are doing the audit. Visit the site location for the audit, definition or profitable solution and action, then reporting. When you have done all these items 1, 2, 3, and 4, you must report. You can't do a conditional assessment and keep it for yourself. You must share it with everybody, every parties involved, so that they will know what you guys are taking. Then they will now begin to see your professionality put in place. Then checklist for your HVAC system. One other thing you can also ensure, allow your technician or your vendor to have what they call a checklist. When somebody said he has come to your building to do a maintenance plan, what are the things that are they doing? Do you have a checklist? Somebody can just come and one of our facility on the island has close to 120 split units. Out of tiredness, or he has another big job around, the guy can just do rubbish and leave your site. If you have a checklist for each equipment that is maintaining, and it gives you assurance that this has been done, at least you have a document to hold in when the equipment fails to function as required. So you can check the condition, prepare a checklist in this kind of format with Excel, and ensure that your building is covered. Then plan preventive maintenance. Plan preventive maintenance allow you to substantially reduce reactive maintenance and retain your building and asset to a desired level of quality. Time-based preventive maintenance is based on a fixed execution frequency of activities that generate a calendar schedule. So this is the method we're adopting for this class. Plan preventive maintenance. Get your manual, see what is obtainable for your equipment, draw up a plan with your Excel sheet. If you have the luxury of buying a software, fine. If you know you can't, you can use your phone where you have your alarm. You can put alarm, just like you put your brother's birthday. You can put all your assets on your equipment. When it is time for maintenance, your alarm will come up. You will see it. The number of your vendor, phone number, and every other thing might be there. So you can give them a call, do a mail to them. The essence of the software is that everything is systematic. Once it is time that you are programmed, the system itself will send a mail to the recipient that it is time for maintenance. Then you have some companies that are very proactive. Before the maintaining time, they are the one that will call you, sir, when should we come for our maintenance? Those kind of company, I give them pass mark. They help me to meet up to my expectation with the client. Then maintenance strategy, we talked about this earlier on. These are the strategies you can adopt when you are maintaining your assets. Then 31 days maintenance schedule. So you can also plan a schedule for yourself. You can see what this man is doing here. The maintenance tasks. You list all the things you want to do. Maybe you have a lift, you have air conditioning system, you have generator, you have your swimming pool, pumps, and the rest. Then you list out prepared by who is the person who wants to maintain it, the time he needs to spend on the thing. Then what other things you can also add is the person's phone number. If it is your technician, you can also put the company that is in charge if it is a company. Then here you can itemize the time period either by days, week, month. You understand? Some activities are required quarterly, some are required annually, some are required biannual. So on your Excel sheet, you can pull out a dotted line to do what they call a planned preventive maintenance. You understand? So how do heat get into space? So here I will summarize this. Heat gets into space by a human being, activities that is carried out, electrical equipment, infiltration through your glasses, and all kinds of things. These are ways heat are introduced into your space. Then I've also listed the human electrical equipment in operation, lighting system. Your light also generates it, can introduce solar heat gain, solar from sun, location of your building. If you are in Abuja or Meduguri, they are having terrible heat as I talk to you now. But in Lagos, by virtue that we are closer to the sea, the Atlantic Ocean, Lagos seems to be cool because the relative humidity is relatively high for us. Activities carried out within the space, are they dancing? Are they sitting? Are they playing football, or what are they doing? Could also have direct impact. Then AC installation tip. This is not part of the class. I'm only giving you this tip. If you want to install your AC, strength of your wall to hold the AC. You won't want to have an AC installed and your guy is sleeping or napping in the office. Before you know, the AC drop on his head. Because one, you didn't check how firm, how strong the wall is before installing. Some AC, I've seen an AC drop from a 3-story building, hit up a vehicle, break the glass before the morning. God has saved the company is that it happened at night. If it happened when people were passing, who know if the AC will have crushed the person and kill the person instantly. Proper spacing between walls and AC units, appropriate installation height from ground, corrective lit angle of your indoor unit, your correct lit of your angle unit. If the angle unit is tinted, there's tendency for a forward flow of water out of the place. Then appropriate installation height from the ground. You don't install your AC where there's frequent movement of people. That could actually affect it. Then proper placement of your outdoor unit. Most outdoor units, if you must use split, please put them on hanger or on a concrete where they will be fixed with their nut on the ground so that they will not be moved. Right distance between indoor and outdoor unit. The maximum distance between indoor and outdoor unit should not exceed 15 meters. Use the proper electrical cables. Nigerian cables seems to be the best. Please use the cable. Use 15 hands plug and above for your AC. Do proper vacuuming of your AC during installation. Ensure there is no leakage. Why? By checking, using your gas leakage or your soap water. Use proper refrigerant. Don't use R22 in R410 and R410 in R22. Ensure thermostat is installed properly. Then different type of AC installation. You see this man, you see how this AC is properly installed and the cable and the pipe running to the indoor and outdoor unit. Some can be on the roof. Then you see this, because probably this might be a mall or a barrack. If they are having challenges on their ground, maybe they needed more parking space. So most of the ACs actually taken to the roof of the building. This could be the challenge in your building that will save you money. And this is one of the chiller I installed for baths some years back. I believe they are still using the unit now. And these are VRF system also installed on the roof of the building. These are the outdoor units. And this black pipe you see, they are actually running into the building, connected to different outdoor units for installation. Then this is your split unit. This is how it looks like, the indoor, outdoor unit, your copper connection and the rest. This is your gauge where you use to test the pressure within your system. You can also use it to charge and also check the condition of your refrigerant. Then what is ventilation system? Ventilation is the process by which clean air, normally outdoor air, is intentionally provided to space and stale air is removed. This may, hello? Should I go ahead? Somebody want to talk?
ahead, sir.
Okay. This may be accomplished by either natural or mechanical means. Then I will just give a brief summary. You know, in the village, we used to, when our homes are very hot, what do? We stay outdoor under the tree. But engineers, scientists look at this. Can we be indoors and still have cooling? So when we're able to design a building, windows are put, doors are put, we generate heat by ourselves through activities and we get hot. So we use our physical paper or what they call the local fan on ourselves. Then somebody came with the idea of using fan to blow. The essence of ventilation is that the heated air is moved away from your body while the cool air within the same environment cools you. So ventilation is intentional introduction of outdoor air into a space. Intentional. Ventilation is mainly used to control indoor air quality by diluting and displacing indoor pollutants. It can also be used to remove smell from a building. It can also be used to control indoor temperature, ventilation, and air motion to benefit thermal comfort, satisfaction with other aspects of indoor environment or other objects. So you see the way this thing works. You see the red line, these are more like hot. And when you see the blue line is cold. You understand? So when you on your fan, either extractor or whatever, there's movement of air from a place where they are generated to a place where they are not needed by virtue of extraction. Then when you talk of fresh air unit, because in hotels, fresh air units are needed in building. You can't look, if you check some of our brothers traveling to Europe through containers, what happened? They lock themselves for days. And what happens when they get to that place, most of them are gone because they've sucked up all the oxygen within the space. So there's no air for them to breathe. And the body starts shutting down because you need oxygen to breathe. For your ventilated environment, you can never have such. That's why sometimes when you perceive smell within your space, the next thing is either you open your door or your window to allow fresh air to come in. The air is required. And the temperature of oxygen, the amount of oxygen in air is 21%. As little as it is needed to sustain our lives. Please, it is important. There are some buildings you go into, they have a very bad culture of not having fresh air within the space. The environment is cooling, but there's no fresh air within the space. You can kill your clients. A well-structured and designed ventilation must introduce fresh air into space. And that fresh air is to sustain our life. When you are getting cool, you see that people's eyes are getting red, water is dropping for their eye, they are working with stress. So you need an equipment to actually detect the quality of air within that building. If oxygen falls short than required, you need to reintroduce what they call a fresh air unit. And what does the work is a fan. This is a centrifugal fan that introduces air from within the space where it is not required to space where it is needed. If you see a red line, this one is what? Intake, the hot air, and exhaust air is going out here. This side closes. So this is what is moving the fan. So there's a movement within the same fan. Then this is an example of how it works. When you see RA, it means the return air. OA, outdoor air. Then this is a mixing bus. So the essence of mixing bus is to further reduce the air coming from outside because outdoor air temperature is higher. Return air has picked up cooling within the space, so the temperature is high. So they mix them here, send them through this. Why they put this heating element here is to control the moisture of air. Where you want a control air, that is where you introduce a heating element. Then this is a cooling element. This is what does the cooling. Then the essence of fan is to supply the air to the space where it is required. It's a long discussion. When you talk of ventilation, it's a full textbook. I'm only trying to make it simple. Please, don't forget, outdoor air is required. And when you are bringing air from outside, do not bring air from where you have smell or gutter or canal is within that place because smell will be introduced into your building. Sometimes when you have challenges like that around, you need to go to all roof of your building to bring in fresh air to supply the building. Then ventilation is needed in your kitchen. Sometimes kitchen, we have smoke, smell there. The ventilation take care of that. Needed in toilet to remove smell, because when you pull, you need to remove the air with the smelling this thing and bring in the fresh air into the space. Different kind of air in space are the return air. The return air is air coming from a conditioned space. Exhaust air is air that is not required, full of smoke or smell, that is being taken outdoor. Outdoor air is air, probably cool, that is need. Outdoor air is the one that is having oxygen, that is being introduced into space. Then supply air is air that is required to cool you within space. So they have equipment that does all these things. They call it energy recovery. You have the fresh air unit here, the return air, the exhaust air, and the outside air. They work together. If you see, the outdoor air is giving us the fresh air. The return air is actually going out, because this one is picked from the space, cooled here, and being taken out. This one has smell. You know, in an open office, you have people eating beans, people that have smelling body and the rest. They can introduce all kinds of things within space in order to keep your environment clean. So you need to remove this air. So they have a component that does all this work. So we have what they call air handling unit also. Air handling unit actually does excessive cooling in big facility. They are like your split unit, but in a bigger form. So they are always installed with a ducted unit required to deliver the cooling to the required space. Some of them are small in nature, and this is how they look like. They always have filter in front. Before you pump in the cool air into space, you need to remove the dirt within the air and send the air across a cooling equipment. Then you need a fan to supply the air to the required space. And this one depends on the size of ASU, depend on what is needed. So I have installed ASU that is twice my height. Should be around 1.7 meter. So I've installed AC that is about 3.4 meter, because they needed the air handling in a bigger space required. So you can actually have AC bigger than the size of your room. So depending on the design requirements. So we have the filters, the heating coil, cooling coil, fan, economizer, heat recovery, then a planar buses. Small investment on your air conditioning system prevent maintenance or servicing, or offers multiple benefits. A well-maintained air conditioner performs better even when it becomes old or might work beyond its lifespan. Users should consider spending a small amount now or prevent maintenance service instead of wasting a lot of money on repair work or replacement after the damage is done. I believe I have come to the end of this class. You are not here physically for me to shake you. So I will take up question now. We have already exceeded the time for the class. So do we have any question, please? Oh, they want to know my name. This is Aki. Okay, I will type in here. I'll type in here. You can ask your question. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly and loud.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I really gained a lot, and I can't believe this class should be for 1 month, because there's a whole lot I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Okay.
Days and all that. So going to my question, where I'm working, I currently now I work in a manufacturing sector. We reside in Port Harcourt, and we all know the Port Harcourt environment suits. And we have within my facility, we have close to 350 ACs, split AC to be specific.
Okay.
It has been a whole lot of pressure on me, trying to manage the servicing part. you service this week, the other week, the AC is already coming up with a black suit, and the indoor unit is showing black suit at the, at the sleeve part and all that. So, my question is, what is the best practice and how do you manage such? The second part is the technicians, how to manage my technician. So we have a vendor kind of arrangements who is resident in our facility, who manages our AC service and repair at the same time. So this aspect of compressor, capacitor, yeah, you made mention of something that if you're not very smart as a project manager, you will understand this part of Oga is the compressor. So I noticed that, okay, at some point, I went out of stock. There was no compressor in the warehouse. So I noticed that they were still servicing and repairing ACs for some few days and like 1 or 2 weeks. And I was wondering, before now, you guys were asking for compressor. Once they ask for capacitor, they follow up with a compressor. So please, I don't know if you can help me to clarify. I hope you understand my question, sir.
Yes, if I will get your question, we are having issue with your split unit and maintenance. First of all, I will ask you, so you just give me an honest answer. Do you have a preventive maintenance plan for your AC? What is the frequency of your maintenance? Answer that before I will ask you the next question.
Yes, we have a maintenance schedule. Per week, it's planned for, we have 40 units to be serviced per week, which I'm trying to talk to the management. Probably they can increase with the SLA procurement and whatever. So for me, the 40 units is not meeting up at all.
Okay. The cooling within the building, is this sufficient?
Yes.
It's sufficient. The issue you're having is maintenance, component failing, and the rest.
Yes.
Yes. For your split unit, you have AVS on site for your split unit?
No.
If you don't have, the first thing I will have, what is the current within your location? Are you dependent on PSTN or you are dependent on generator?
We have a gas turbine. So
you have a gas turbine, okay? That means you have regular power supply.
Yes.
So you need to install an AVS on your system. So this is another, we have that problem in one of the facility we're handling at the airport. So when we came in, we record a lot of shortage, burnt out compressor. So the first thing is to go to the market, buy AVS. Their power is not regular. Sometimes you have high voltage, sometimes you have low voltage. So systems that are not well designed, you understand, they respond to it by giving up the compressor. That means the compressor will burn out. So in order to stop that problem, install what they call AVS on each of the compressor. And if you don't want to do that, if you have a well-structured environment, you have good electrician, they can actually do a panel with phase failure and some other input in it to defend, because you might not have the opportunity of installing AVS on all components, but you can have a phase failure depending on the size of the equipment within that floor or areas you are in. So if they have components to prevent that failure, before it gets to the compressor, it will prevent it. Then you as a technician, as a facility person, please, though you are not supposed to do this. Once they say a compressor has failed, physically go and check. Sometimes it could be capacitor that failed. Tell your technician what is the value of this thing in the on the compressor. You write it down, then tell him to test the capacitance of the capacitor. So if the value gives you the same value, if it is 10 and it's giving you 10, the capacitor is okay. Do you understand? So it is when the capacitor fails sometimes, it allows current to enter your compressor, then it shuts down the compressor. So compressor can be refurbished, but I am not advising you to do that, because most refurbished also come back as failed. Because what the Igbo guys does is to cut it into two, remove the good parts, and exchange it with another ones that some of the components are not gone to form a new one. Some of them end up being good, but I'm not advising you if you want to have good relationship with your client, because if they discover that it is republished, you will pay for it.
Okay.
You understand? So first of all, I believe the question is normally supposed to be out of this class because it's going to be lengthy. There are some questions I'm supposed to ask you too. See, my number is placed there. You can
Okay,
chat
all
me
right,
on
thank you.
WhatsApp, so we'll talk more.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you
let
very
us
much.
give room to other people to ask their
Thank
question,
you.
please.
Thank you.
Okay. If you have questions, this is the time, or are we tired?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, or please, your name?
Yeah, my name is Habib Jibola.
Habib, okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you for the well-delivered presentation. I'll make it snappy.
Okay.
You, in the course of your presentation, you made mention of the phased, R22, which is reference gas 22, that is no longer in the market.
Yes.
That is no longer advisable to be used. So I want to
Yes.
ask, which one is the best one in the market?
We have
right now?
R410, R13A. This topic is wide, but I will try and explain it. R22 is a very good refrigerant.
Okay, sir.
But we discovered that once it is discharged, two things, when you come out, you see those blue skies. Those are the ozone layer. So they eat a portion of those ozone layer and allow lot of the sun ray to come on board. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
I
believe
allow
others are with you.
They allow the sun ray to come on board. So that sun ray itself causes skin cancer. So in order for us to reduce it, the world body came together and said we should stop some production of refrigerant. And they put a mark and a deadline. The European has actually stopped. The Americans have stopped. Some part of the world has stopped. But the third world countries, which Nigeria seems to be one leg in, one leg out, it's all fall into this because we are poor. People cannot afford the new ones. They rather go for the R22. So China still produce for us. I think India too still produce that for us. You understand? So the good one in the market are R410, then R134. So it depends on what you want. There are many refrigerants, but R22 is not part of it. They fade them out, even ammonia. Ammonia is used in the refrigeration, and ammonia has the capacity to freeze chicken to -10, and it will keep it longer. You understand? But each time they discover a new refrigerant, the cooling effect drops. It solves the problem of the environment, but creates a cooling effect. So they are very expensive. So those are the ones I can give.
Okay, thank you, sir. So those are
yes. Then one other
R4A.
thing, if you have such in your property, I'm telling you to everybody, you could make a plan as a facility manager that if you want to replace any AC, you buy the one that has R410, and you gradually phase off all these R12, R22, and the rest of them.
Okay, all right. So that one can be used on any type of AC, be it split AC, standalone, central.
No. It's not that it can be used. It depends on design. There are some design that require excessive cooling. They will tell you use R134A. But every unit you buy, there's a refrigerant on the nameplate. So it is that refrigerant you should use in it. Don't buy an alternative refrigerant. It's just like you removing your heart and putting in somebody's heart. The way the Almighty Lord designed your heart is different from somebody's heart. You understand? So each compressor goes with different refrigerants. It's just like you removing a diesel engine and putting it in a petrol engine. It will not sit and it will not fit in. You get?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Next question, please.
In terms of buying ACs, which one is better? The air conditioning unit with a copper coil or the air conditioning unit with aluminum coil? Which one is better?
Copper coil. Copper coil is better. If aluminum coil gets, if there's a stress on aluminum and it gets caught on a particular place, you need an expensive equipment to seal it up. and the cost of fixing it might be equal to buying another equipment. So it is not advisable to buy aluminum fin coil, but rather copper coil, aluminum fin is the more preferred.
But sir, what about those ones that they say some percentage of copper coil and as in not 100% copper coils, are they better than the other ones?
No, what I will tell you, the most, not that they cannot work. The problem is getting to solve them when they leak. Just like your electrical cable that has copper. Silver works better than copper, but silver seems to be very abundant and cheap. But nobody can afford silver coil in your electrical cables. You get my point? So copper seems to be very available and is durable and is within the budget range of everybody. That's why they are using it. And if it has fault, you can easily brace with acetylene and oxygen and get it fixed. For aluminum and some other metal, you might need another form of higher brazing before you get it done. So you want to have all this stress when your equipment fail on site. Do you understand what I mean? So you go for the one that has immediate solution after it generates fault. And if you have such in your environment, you can gradually replace them with what I've recommended. But on a bigger unit, you need to get a coated, there's some chemicals that you need to coat with your outdoor coil. Any equipment installed about 1,000 meters, 1,000 meters away from the sea, if it is not well treated, within 1 or 2 years, the copper coil from the condenser will start leaking because of the harsh environment we are in. Lagos has acidic rain by virtue of the number of vehicles that walks on Lagos Road every time. So when they discharge that into the air, the rain falls down, bring acidic rain, they start reacting on the coil. So treated is different from the material used in it. Like I said, my advice, use copper coil, aluminum fin, please. Next question. Do we have any question? Hello?
Hello, sir. Excuse me, sir. Bamdele is my name.
Okay.
R22 gas is not healthy, right?
Your what?
R22 gas.
Yes.
You said it's not healthy. I don't
At all.
Because that's what we're using currently.
Most building, like I said, they produce for Nigerian markets. You know what the white did is that when they discovered the detrimental effect of this gas on equipment, what they did was to plan. You know, they have a plan that you can bring back the unit and take a newer one. That is abroad. You can't do that in Nigeria. So what you can do is that you ensure that the gas is not discharged into the environment, because your duty as facility is not to impact on the environment. So you can recommend, you can have a 5 years plan for the equipment on your building. Anyone that is having multiple issues, just replace it with RO410 or the newest refrigerant then. So within 5 years, you should be able to eradicate what you have presently. Then your clients, if they insist, you can do a small write-up, very juicy, and send it to them. Let them know you are working, and it could also bring about promotion. Some of them that they see the point you are raising and even change their equipment and dispose of the R22. You could, sure understand. So it depends on how you play. You can do a one-page thing and tell them the effect of R22 and the importance of using new refrigerant. So some of them that are very, very okay with the idea, they can tell you, give me a budget to replace all the units I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for the.
No problem. Any question? None of the ladies are asking. I don't know. It's been a trend. No ladies always ask questions in the class. I hope you understood all the things I said. How many of them are in class? At least let one of them ask me a question, even if it is my name.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Who is speaking?
My name is Adeniji Clement.
Okay.
I'm a facility manager at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Foreign Service along Badagry Expressway.
Okay.
My question is, what is the size of the AV that we can use for the 3 horsepower?
What did, please, can you say that again?
What is the capacity of the AV that we can use for 3 horsepower AC?
3 horsepower. Is it generator you are talking about?
No, I'm talking of AC.
I know AC. You said what capacity
The
of
AV,
KV?
yes, sir. AV,
The KV,
AV.
AVS.
Yes, sir. AVS. Yes, sir.
AVS. No, AVS has a particular range of current they can shut off.
Okay.
You understand? So what you need to do, check the rating of on the body of your AC. There's a starting current rated on it. So go to the market and tell them the capacity that you have. So with that, you can now select the AVS that is appropriate. They have digital and they have analog type. So digital can be good, analog can be good, depending. Analog give you the digits that is protecting directly. It can also give you the voltage directly, you understand? So it depends. And there are different manufacturers with different capacity. The capacitor varies. So I can't say this is this until you send me the nameplate, then I can give advice. You already have my number, so you can chat me up, send the nameplate to me, then I can give you advice from there.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
No problem. So Esther Abidogun Goke Adeniji, I believe there's no question. Akin Soye Atilade Barakat, my friend.
Yes, sir. No.
Dare Ibini, the Emmanuel, the Ithe, Judith, Juliana, Kola Wole, and the rest. I believe we have exhausted all our questions. If we have, I will have to be pulling out, unless you have one question to ask. If not, we'll close the class.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sorry, a quick one now.
Okay.
Is it compulsory to have AVS on all units? Like in our home now, we have 3-phase throughout. So since we have 3-phase, I believe the current is not that, is within 380 to 410 voltage. So is it advisable to have AVS on such facilities?
Why we are introducing protective mechanisms is that our PACN cannot be trusted. You know that. Can you trust PACN?
No.
That's why most companies have generators, because they can disappoint and you cannot take them to court. So in order to protect your asset, it's a plan to ensure that your equipment are running effectively. But if you have a good power supply, there's no need for your AVS. And there are some buildings that does not have AVS, but their panel does most of the protection. I have a building that once there's a surge, their panel tripped off because they have their DB, and each AC was connected separately. So if there's a power surge, it tripped off from the DB. So sometimes when you are doing your fault finding or troubleshooting, you need to go to the DB first to check whether the power was switched off first. If you don't do that, you will just waste all your time trying to look for solutions without any headway. You get my point? So if your power is good, there's no need for you to have it, but have full assurance. Area where AVS is needed is where power cannot be trusted. So, Barakat, I believe I've answered your question, bros.
Yes, sir.
So, Barakat, I believe I've exhausted my time, and I think almost 7:30 now. I believe I have to go. Please make good use of all the knowledge that have been impacted today. A facility manager should make a positive impact in their building. And if you do that, I tell you, the sky is your limit. Reduce your budget for your clients every year. It gives you a lead way for you to excel in your career. But if the budget is about 100 million this year and they are spending 120 million or 150 million, you are not doing anything new. Look for alternative plan, look for how to cut your energy costs and the rest. All those ideas are what keeps you on the job. So thank you very much, and I wish you guys all the best. in your endeavors and in your career pursuits.
Thank you very much, sir.
So,
Okay.
Barakat, I'll be off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
God bless. So, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Sharing.